stalkers. I don't like them, obviously, but they really are a fascinating breed. This video shares the real-life experiences from victims of stalking. Here we go. At the beginning of this past April, an older man moved back in with his parents after he had completed a stint in a rehab facility. That house happened to be 2 doors down from my own. Fast forward to a week later, when my roommate hears the doorbell being rung repeatedly as she's getting ready to leave for the day. She opens the door and is greeted by a man whose presence immediately makes her uncomfortable. He claims that he has cut his hand and needs a band-aid, but there are no apparent wounds as he holds his hands out for her to inspect. She kindly but firmly tells him that she cannot help him, to which he responds by asking if he could measure something in her bedroom. My roommate promptly slams the door shut, and when she leaves 10 minutes later, the man is nowhere to be seen. Fast forward again. At this point, about 2 weeks have gone by since the previous incident. I wake up early on a Sunday morning to the sound of the doorbell ringing unceasingly. I get out of bed, walk down the hallway and peer around the corner, only to see the frame of a large man through the clouded glass of our front door. I go into my roommate's room and inform her that the Band-Aid man might be back. She jumps out of bed to confirm, but when she gets to the door, she can't tell for certain if it's him or not. She opens the door slightly, and the man immediately blurts out, "Can I use your bathroom?" She recognizes that it is indeed the Band-Aid man and slams the door shut. We call the police, and by the time an officer arrives, the man has disappeared. We give a thorough report, and the officer brings some photos from the station to see if we can identify the man, but there is no one on file who matches. Unsatisfied but not overly concerned, we end our meeting with the officer by saying we'll contact him if anything else happens. On the following Tuesday morning, something else does happen. Again, I wake up to an unusual sound. This time, though, it's not the chime of a doorbell. Instead, it's the sound of a muffled thumping. My first reaction is to think it's something innocuous and a little bit absurd. Maybe my roommate is whacking the dust from a carpet. I get out of bed to investigate the source of the sound. As soon as I open my bedroom door and walk down the hallway, it becomes evident that the sound is something much more sinister than what I had initially imagined. When I get to the corner of the hallway, my fears are realized. The frame of the Band-Aid man is looming through the milky glass, and he's throwing all his weight against the door, banging on it with both fists. I run to wake up my roommate, and she grabs her phone from her nightstand and dials the police. The call to request an officer takes no more than a minute, and by that point, the banging has stopped. We decide to leave her room and walk around the inside of the house to see if we can spot him through a window and snap a picture to show the officer when he arrives. I gingerly step into our den and open the blinds on the window facing our driveway, and then I see him. He's crouched up against our house, hiding. I tell my roommate that he's still here, and she gets back on the phone with the dispatcher while standing in the kitchen. The man leaves his hiding spot and runs back to the front door to resume his pounding. I run into the living room and angle myself against the wall closest to the front door. From where I'm standing, I can hear the man clearly, and I make out, through his mumbled rant, a single coherent sentence: "I'm going to break down this door." I sprint to the kitchen to tell my roommate so that she can inform the dispatcher that the man intends to enter. I then dash to the back door in the laundry room to make sure it's also locked. When I peek my head around the corner, I have a perfect line of sight to the front door, and from there I can see the movements of the man more clearly, and I see that he's holding something that he's using all of his strength to bring into contact with the door. It's a hatchet. But then the officer finally arrives and grabs the man from the front door, hatchet and all. Once the man is secured in the back of the squad car, the officer enters to check on us. He informs us that the man was found not only with a hatchet on him, but 2 knives as well, which he had used to slash our tires, 2 of my roommates and 3 of mine. We learned later from the man's statement that he had been waiting outside our house since 3 a.m. that morning. He claimed that he was trying to enter because he wanted a relationship with us. He was infatuated. Thanks to a no-contact order, 2 felony charges, and 2 misdemeanor charges. He's gone from our lives. TLDR, didn't give a man a band-aid, and he came back with a hatchet.
Literally the second I go outside, my nose just becomes blocked. I must have serious allergy. I'm allergic to being outside. Anyway, I'm Jack, this is Dark Case. I just wanted to say a couple of things before I carry on with the video again. If you can become a channel member, then please do. I appreciate it so much, and it's really helping me out. It's helping me to keep this channel going. Seriously, it is. I'm currently at 273 channel members. I'd love to get to 300 by the end of May, and just kind of keep on growing what I'm doing here. But yeah, let me know if you like these types of videos and I'll make them more regular. I'd love to make them more because I enjoy them. These are one of the things I actually enjoy sort of watching, listening to anyway. So yeah, let me know. As always, please do like, comment, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and become part of the Dark Case family. Get involved. It's an amazing community. Love you all, and I'll see you later. Just enjoy the video. Peace.
When I was 17, I was working over the summer at a Popeyes. I'm a very friendly person and tend to smile and be nice to pretty much everyone, but I learned quickly that some people can take this the wrong way. There was this one older man who came in regularly after work for dinner. I would always smile and greet him like I did all the customers. One day he tried to give me a tip, but I was legally required to refuse. I didn't think much of it. The next time he bought 2 desserts and tried to give me one, which I also didn't accept. Then he started holding onto my hand when I gave him his change and trying to hug me whenever I wasn't behind the counters. My manager saw nothing of this, but I was starting to get uncomfortable, so I mentioned that he was being weird. They said he was probably just lonely and told me not to worry about it. So I didn't, until he came in one day with a card for me. It was a card to thank me for being his friend, with hearts and his phone number in it, asking me to call him. It also contained $10. I showed it to my managers and explained how uncomfortable I was. They told me to get one of them the next time he came in, and I could wait in the back until he had left. This is where things escalate. He came in one day, so I got my manager and went to the back. He immediately asked for me, and my manager said I wasn't working. He said he knew he was lying because he had seen me go in the back. So the man left. I came back out front and started to work again. 10 minutes later, the man came back in and demanded to see me. He threw a huge fit and yelled and threw stuff until my manager called the cops. The cops showed up, and the guy literally ran away to his truck, which was parked suspiciously far away. The cops took down his license plate and told both me and the manager to call them immediately if we ever saw him again. He had been charged with this sort of thing before. The police put a watch on my house and told my manager to always walk me to my car. 2 days later, I got a call from the police. Apparently, this guy had been regularly following me home from work and parking his truck on my street all night. Needless to say, both my parents and I flipped. We knew the police sergeant personally, and he went out to scare the shit out of this guy, telling him he'd put him in jail if he ever came near me again. Luckily, it worked, and the guy stayed away. I bought mace with the $10 he gave me, ended up going to therapy, and quit that job because of the whole ordeal. My story is a little more bizarre. I used to work over the summer doing odd jobs and errands for this wealthy old lady, and when she was in charge of some religious conference at her local church, I was enlisted to help out for the day as well. She is Catholic. I'm not religious at all, but I smile politely and just agree with whatever people are saying. Towards the end of the day, someone who I think is a young priest starts talking to me about the majesty and holiness of the day, blah blah, and I'm just like, yes, absolutely, because that is what I've been doing for 10 hours already. He says that he really enjoyed talking to me and asks if we can stay in touch. I was surprised because I thought he was a priest due to his outfit, and I instantly knew I should say no because he was giving off a really weird vibe. But I had a weak moment and told him that my name was a nickname of my full name that I never use, and I gave him the email address that I use to sign up for online stuff. Shortly thereafter, this guy, let's call him David, Starts to send really long emails about what he is doing with his days, and also that I'm just the loveliest woman he's ever known, and God brought us together, etc. I reply to only one email, one time, saying that I have a boyfriend and he would not appreciate me talking with a man who is interested in me. So, thank you, but please stop emailing me. David replies as if nothing happened. He continues telling me about things and asks if I want to go on a nature walk. I never respond. David sends another email in a week or two about how it was too bad I couldn't come down, all the fun things that I missed, and that it will be great when I can come next time. Over the next few months, David sends about 6 more emails to me, some long, some short, some talking about how I am the girl of his dreams, others just to say, Happy Thanksgiving. I never respond to any of it. I only sent the one email that one time and he just keeps going. Summer had ended and I was back working as an advisor at a boarding school. And as these emails would come in, I would share them with the kids as a don't you dare ever be this person life lesson. And also because I was creeped out and just had to share. So now it's Christmas. I haven't gotten an email in 3 or 4 weeks. David sends an email that contains only a JPG of a picture card that he created. It's a fat, rosy-cheeked Santa holding a bag of gifts with trees and maybe a Rudolph in the background. And the text above says, You will get your gifts. The font he used was a Halloween-style font, red with blood dripping off the letters. Okay, now I am freaked out. But I ignore it and never reply. Over the next couple of months, we start to notice a car parked on the street outside of my residence, which I shared with another adult and a group of high school boys. We think it is a neighbor parking on the street or whatever, but what happens next makes me think it is not. Come spring, I start to get mail, actual snail mail with my full name and address from David. He sends a full packet of materials to me with his resume and life story, under the guise that he is applying for a position at this program I work at. It contains handwritten letters of reference, printed evaluations from another job, just a whole bunch of things I don't even remember. I freak out for real. This is a guy who I had a 5-minute conversation with a year before and sent only one email to that said, Please don't email me. David has completely invented this story in his mind, where we are great friends or soulmates, and I am trying to get him a job. He knows where I work and live, and I highly suspect he was parked outside my home recently, watching. I bring a large kitchen knife into my bedroom and spend the rest of the night looking up how to handle stalking behavior. The next day, I talk to the police, and they confirm my research. A restraining order often entices people to pursue more, as they think they can prove their love and devotion by overcoming this obstacle getting in the way of our love. So I am brave and just continue to ignore him. I do nothing, never acknowledge or respond. Eventually, David loses interest, and I stop hearing from him. It's been over 10 years since this all went down, and after that first year, I never heard anything from David again. TLDR. Had a 5-minute non-conversation with a guy, sent him one email that said, Don't email me. He thought I was his BFF or soulmate, and almost a year later found out where I lived to mail me his resume. It was this random guy that I met at a football game at my university. He started talking to me, and me being an exceedingly polite person, I talked back to him. I didn't think much of it, and he added me on Facebook, and it wasn't too odd for a while. He would comment on all of my pictures and tell me how pretty I was. That was creepy, but it kept getting weirder. He would be sitting outside of my dorm every time I left it, which either meant he had figured out my schedule or had no life. It was creepy as hell, and campus police said what he was doing wasn't technically illegal. Then he started following me to classes and work and anywhere I went. He wouldn't talk to me, he would just follow and watch. He ended up getting arrested for assault and battery, but he got released. I wasn't allowed to walk anywhere by myself. One night I really needed to go to Walmart, and it was pretty late at night. I felt bad for always making my friends go places with me, so I figured a Walmart trip wouldn't be that bad. Of course, he was sitting outside my dorm and followed me to my car. He started talking to me and telling me I was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. He kept telling me I could be his princess if I dated him. He was right in my face telling me all this, and he kept reaching out and stroking my arms, sides, and hair. Then a friend of mine called me and I answered it, and the creepy stalker guy bolted. He was arrested and got thrown in jail for aggravated assault less than a month after this happened. Walking at night still freaks me out. Her name was Erin. Some find this story funny because it's a girl stalking a guy, but at the time it definitely wasn't funny. It all began with a simple comment on a friend's Facebook status. A girl, innocently named enough, Erin, also commented, expanding on the joke comment I had left. From this, we began talking over Messenger. She seemed nice enough. I was 23 at the time, and she was 34. Finally upgrading to texting via our phones, we decided to meet up for a little date. The day of the date, she's texting more than usual, but nothing outlandish. With maybe 4 hours to go before the date, I take a nap. The nap didn't even last a whole hour. I woke up to 60 missed texts and 100 missed calls. This is where she tells me she has borderline personality disorder and depression, and a wide range of other things. Sufficiently scared, I tell her I want to take a break and see how I feel about it. Here's where the crazy starts. She comes to my street at midnight and knocks on each house looking for me, camps outside my job and waits hours for me to clock out, sends one-word texts in all caps, always insulting me, threatens to tell people I raped her or that she will hurt herself. Well, after a few days, and did I mention this was all in the span of 1 week, I tell her I'm done and proceed to block her number, Facebook, etc. She somehow finds my email that's not connected to Facebook and emails me one long letter titled "Please don't call the cops." I still have it somewhere too. She got scared I was going to the police and it stopped. End of that hell week. Plus she had scabies,